if you take over the interview and you be the man.
All right, very good. Hey everybody, this is Alex Newman, and I am actually in studio with James White, an amazing, amazing radio host who's doing amazing things here in Montana and all across the country. And the reason I want to interview him today is because he is on the front lines of exposing one of the most insidious evils that has now permeated not just our society here in America, but this has now become a global problem. And so, Jim, thank you so much for what you're doing. And tell us a little bit about your work exposing CPS. I know that parents from all over the country, from all over Montana, have been in touch with you to tell you their horror stories. Give the audience just a little bit of a snapshot about what's going on, what that looks like, and what's happening.
Well, thanks so much, Alex. I really appreciate you taking the time to grant me this interview very much. I appreciate your work an awful lot. And thanks for your kind words. I didn't pick this. One of those, it's one of those things in life, like we so often come across, is it sort of picked me. I had some people here in Montana. I do this radio show here. I've been doing this work here in Montana for a long time, and mostly I've been doing land type stuff, working with land issues, the water rights stuff, real dry kind of stuff, and not really too very exciting. And it's only a core group of people, a lot of locals follow me, but it's only about issues that they kind of really pertain to them and pertain locally. Well, some of the local people here that had issues with CPS, of course, because I am a Montana station, they had no other really place to go, and no one else would listen to them. Mainstream media didn't want to hear what they had to say. So they reached out to me as sort of a last resort because they just frankly had nowhere else to go. So I started, I listened, of course, because I really am doing this to give people a voice that have no voice. That's kind of really my mission and doing everything that I do. It's certainly not for the money, as you know, brother.
Right.
We don't do it for the money, that's for sure. So I do it for the cause, right? I do it for the cause of liberty. I do it for the cause of, justice. It's not a religious show. I don't do a religious broadcast, but, we certainly do talk about Christian things when it's appropriate. And I've never shy away from that. I encourage that, of course. So people started reaching out to me. And I actually had an interview with Rodney Garcia, who is a legislator here in Montana. He was a sitting legislator at the time. He reached out to me through one of his intermediaries and said, hey, I want to come on your program. I want to announce the bill that I have to defund CPS. I'm going to defund them $25 million a year over the course of the next 2 years. I want to come on your program and talk about it. That's kind of how it all really kind of like ramped up and really got accelerated. He came on my broadcast and told me on my broadcast, Alex, that he had all of the people behind him. He talked to all the leadership. They were all agreed it was a great idea. They were all on board. They were getting ready to take the vote the very next morning. Overnight, someone got to the leadership. He shows up the next day at the Capitol. They're like, yeah, we're not even going to even address your bill. We're not even going to put it out there for vote. So somebody got to the leadership, it seems, overnight and quashed that whole idea of defunding CPS. So there's some very, very powerful people that are behind this. There's no doubt about it. And you know something, Alex? It kept snowballing where I made a call on the radio, said, if you're out there and you're suffering, here's my email address. They're all under the videos. Reach out to me and I'll do what I can to help you. And that's what I did. And that's what people did. And I've interviewed, I can't tell you how many people already, and have many more in the pipe. And Alex, I just can't get over how widespread and how evil and how criminal this whole operation is, that people are not even getting due process. They're having their families ripped apart and their children that love them and that they love in loving homes ripped completely apart without even having a day in front of a judge to give their side of the story. It is absolutely as criminal and as insidious as I can imagine this going on, Alex. I don't know if you want that whole diatribe, but that's kind of...
Well, thank you for pointing that out, Jim. And it's interesting you say that, because just this morning I was at church and we met a family that had their son removed from them by CPS. Apparently, the son had said something at school about getting spanked as a form of discipline, and somehow the CPS got involved, and they ended up losing their son. Haven't seen him really in 2 years now, is what I understood. So this is an enormous problem. I mean, what are the odds that I would go to a small church and meet somebody who had been a victim of this? So give us a little bit of a sense of how this is happening. So, when the CPS comes in, what do they do? What do they accuse parents of? What does the process look like by which, somebody's children are stolen from them? And do they have, any way of appealing? What is the system that is grinding up all these families? What does it look like? How does it work?
Well, I had a radio show earlier this morning, Alex, and I'll tell you how I described the CPS. To me, after the copious amounts of research that I've done and talked to parents, and the actual documentation that I've viewed myself, my view of CPS is, and this is basically, if I had to put out one sentence, it's a money laundering, child trafficking, criminal cabal, is really what it is. What happens is you can have CPS visit your house from an anonymous tip that you can't stand in front of your accuser, right? You have a no due process, meaning you can't have a jury of your peers hear your case. When CPS gets into your life, Alex, they do not stop, and no one stops them. No one stops them. Now, what they've done masterfully is they have been able, you talked about propaganda, how we've been propagandized for generation after generation. They've been able to masterfully create the narrative that the CPS is out to help children. Now, a study just came out. Two things I want to point out when it comes to that. A study just now came out from a prestigious university that stated the studies show that children, even when they come from abusive homes, overall end up better off than when they go to foster care. And the State Department just released a report, I think, just about a week or 10 days ago. The number one of all the things they could have named, Alex, in the whole entire United States, all the different institutions, everything they could have named, what did they say? They said the foster care system is the number one target of child sex traffickers in America, is the foster care system. I want to tell you so many things, man, that I don't want to really give away right now because I don't want to burn people that told me this until I talk to them. But we're looking into the doctors that are involved in this. Let's just put it that way. And this is going to alarm people when we come out with the evidence. There's not just me working on this. There is a large group of people that are digging away at this daily and regularly. All I am is just merely the voice, right? I'm the sheepdog barking at the herd. Nothing more. That's all I am. I'm just trying to wake people up and have them realize just the enormity of this problem. Alex, we have people, literally, that have no criminal, they have none. They say that they've been taking drugs, and they go get independent drug tests from the same labs that the CPS says that they found drugs in their system. They go the next day to the same labs and do the drug test, and it comes back no drugs at all. Yet they still take their children. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. They lie right in on documents. They lie. One woman, these things that the judges get, the judge gets a sheet of paper. It's like the court docket that the judge reads off of, that's put together by the CPS. One of the women that I'm talking to, Cindy, she got a copy of it. They just gave it to her. They weren't really supposed to, but somehow she found a sympathetic clerk that gave her the actual document that the judge reads. It said on there, this woman has been combative and non-cooperative since 2012. The case only got opened the first time in 2019. So the judge is looking at this thinking, wow, this woman's a deadbeat. She's been battling CPS for 7 years here, right? And the judge goes, your kid's gone. Because the judge is like, well, this person's obviously, they don't deserve, whatever they're thinking. But the information is just lies. It's like not even true. That's how bad it is, Alex. It's unbelievable. When you just peel the onion back, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Sorry, I'm passionate about this, man, because it gets me so, I cannot stand criminals, especially when they perpetrate crimes against children. I just can't, I can barely deal with it. Anyway, sorry.
It's so horrible. And so is this a nationwide problem, Jim? Is this Montana specific, or is this global? How huge is this problem? And you mentioned there was a large group of people working on this. Is that just in Montana, or are things happening at a national level now where you're hopeful that we may be able to get this problem under control?
Oh, yeah. National and all of your points there. Oh, yeah. It's in all 50 states. It's in all 50 states, and it's international. It's worldwide. We just saw, I think may have seen in Italy, where they just busted up that child sex trafficking ring in Italy that was involved with the CPS. Now now 3 mayors are involved. 3 mayors are involved.
For the people who haven't heard this story, by the way, they found out that they were making up fake allegations against parents. They were trying to persuade the children to make fake allegations against their own parents, and then they were selling these children to customers, to willing buyers. I mean, some of the sickest stuff you can imagine. And this is now out in the news. Now there's a law enforcement investigation going on. It looks like some of these people are going to go down. But Jim, continue, please.
Well, and they were using electroshock therapy on these children to alter their memories. And one of the places that they sold these children to was a sex shop. It was a literal sex shop that they sold these children to. Now, and I try to tell people, Alex, you were right on. This is not just a national, this is an international criminal sex trafficking crime ring. Now, other work that I'm doing here, and that's not even, I've done extensive amounts of work myself and my researcher just on the Native American population. And I'm going to be putting something out here, but the blood type is a huge factor in what's going on. They are kidnapping children that have Native American heritage, and especially have special like liabilities like diseases or other liabilities. They're the big money. They get the big money from them. This is a money laundering. It's not about the kids, Alex. It's not about the children. Don't let anybody tell you that. Don't let anybody tell you that. If they tell you that, they're buying the company line. It's not about the kids. Now, are there children out there that need to be perhaps rescued or at least have been intervened in bad situations? Yes. But somebody made a statement to me the other day. One of my people that I talked to, excuse me, something, Jim? I have been to dozens of meetings, and I have met hundreds of parents. And I have not met one parent that I ran into who had their children taken because they were beating them down. She goes, these are all lawyers, white collar people. These are doctors. She goes, you wouldn't believe the people that end up at these meetings. I went to these meetings thinking these are going to be meth head people that just, don't have a job and like pushing shopping carts down the street. She goes, no, there was like lawyers, construction workers, doctors, hygienists, librarians, the whole gambit. So it's indiscriminate. If you have a child that is a big money child to them, they're going to do whatever they can to get that child. And folks, you can call me crazy, but I'm telling you, when all the smoke clears, you'll see that I'm right. And I mean, just make that declaration. I don't want to sound, pompous when I say that. I just have done the research, and I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly right, Jim. And actually, I was just talking a couple of days ago to Elaine Willman, who's become a good friend of mine. She lives up in this area, and she's been very involved with Native issues. In fact, she's an Indian herself, married to an Indian, and somehow she becomes, according to the SPLC, the leader of the anti-Indian movement. But anyways, one of the things she's focused on, and she's working on quite extensively, is the stealing of Native children from their parents by these federally funded tribal governments. And the kids disappear. It was, what happened to the kids? Well, I would like to know, and I think a lot of other people would too. So, Jim, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Where would you recommend that people go to find out more about this incredibly important issue? And parents out there, and even if you're not a parent, you need to recognize there's pretty much nothing you can do to a parent that would be worse than taking their children away, right? I mean, you ask parents, they would rather be executed. They would rather their children be executed than end up in this system where they disappear, because then you don't even know what's happening, right? You hear all these reports about the sex trafficking that's going on and this kind of stuff. It is the most horrible thing you could do to a person. Now this is happening all over America to good parents, to children in loving homes. This is an atrocity of monumental proportions. I mean, this makes war crimes look small by comparison. So, Jim, where do people find out more about this? What can people do if they want to get involved? And what's your website so that people can go and follow you as you expose these incredibly heinous crimes?
Well, I do appreciate that, Alex. Thanks so much. And you can see right there, northwestlibertynews.com. That's northwestlibertynews.com is my main website. I don't write nearly as many articles. I've written hundreds of articles, and I don't write as many as I have before. Matter of fact, I've cut way down on them. I do a lot more video journalism now. So if you go to YouTube, my YouTube channel, if you go to my Twitter account, and all those are scrolling along the bottom of the screen, Northwest Liberty News Facebook is Northwest Liberty News. I interview now pretty much almost on a daily basis, I'm covering, at least I do 2 broadcasts a day. I do like a live broadcast in the morning, and then I do a 3 o'clock broadcast on Red State Talk Radio. That's live every afternoon, 5 days a week. But I'm next Saturday. I want to get this out. Next Saturday, I'm doing a 12-hour marathon broadcast, and the whole entire thing is going to be exposing CPS and helping protect the children that are being victimized by CPS. I'm going to have a lot of star-studded guests on there. I've already reached out to some of them, and they're going to be on next Saturday, 12 hours, end-to-end broadcasting to raise up awareness. So if people want to go and find out more about that, just go to Northwest Liberty News on YouTube, and sign up for my channel, subscribe to my channel, and then when I put out the alerts, hopefully, a lot of times they don't get alerts because they really knock me down, man. I mean, I was getting like 1,000 subs a month, and it went down to like below 10. So I mean, they're really trying to knock my information out. They don't want it to be out there because we're just speaking truth. You know, a lot of people are, but they're crushing me. But we're going to continue to forge ahead because, you know, if we just change one person's mind that has an influence, that's an influencer, or if we just help one parent, you know, cope with the loss of their child, and we help them, you know, help strengthen them and put them into the fight, it's worth it all. So we're going to continue to move forward, Alex, no matter what they do. We're just going to continue to preach truth and try to vanquish evil off the face of the earth forever, man. Get rid of child trafficking forever and execute the people that are involved in it. That's my remedy.
Amen. Awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much for what you're doing. And what's the day of that broadcast again? Can you tell us?
It's going to be the 13th, July 13th.
July 13th.
9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you go to Northwest Liberty News on YouTube channel and sign up and subscribe, you'll be able to get the alerts. But it's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, the 13th of July. Thanks so much, Alex. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jim. And this is Alex Newman again. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, share, do all that great stuff, and stay tuned for more hard-hitting content like this. Jim, thank you once again.
All right, that was good.
Awesome. Sweet. So,